She was one of the most honored women in Forbidden City, the Empress of China, mother of the nation. But how much power does she really have? Could she influence the emperor's decisions? Was she ever removed from power? And why were some empresses overshadowed by the emperor's mother? Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today, we uncovered the truth about the role of a Qing dynasty empress. The empress was the emperor's principal wife and the official mother of the nation. She outranked every concubine in the palace, and unlike other consorts, her position was the most secure. But while the empress was rarely removed, history shows that if she lost favor or broke court etiquette, she could be stripped of her title and replaced. Beyond status, the empress had real responsibilities, the most important being control over the imperial harem. The Forbidden City housed hundreds of concubines, palace maids, and eunuchs, all competing for influence. The empress was expected to enforce discipline, oversee the promotions and demotions, and ensure concubines followed strict court etiquette. But controlling the harem was no easy task. Rivalries were constant, and ambitious concubines often schemed for power. A strong empress could command absolute respect, ensuring her authority was never challenged. A weak empress, however, could be ignored or even overthrown by a more favored consort. Beyond the harem, the empress had ceremonial duties. She led ancestral rites, religious offerings, and imperial celebrations, representing the dynasty's moral authority. She was also the only woman who could accompany the emperor to certain state rituals, reinforcing her role as the empire's first lady. In rare cases, the empress also played a diplomatic role. Foreign dignitaries might be granted an audience with her, and she was expected to embody Confucian ideals of virtue, setting an example for noble women across China. While the empress held immense status, her influence depended entirely on the emperor's favor. Some earned his trust and played key roles in court, while others remained ceremonial figures with little real power. But how much sway did an empress actually have over imperial decisions? The answer depended on the emperor himself. Some empresses earned her husband's trust and played key roles behind the scenes, while others remained mere figureheads. One of the most respected Qing dynasty empress was Empress Xiao Xianchun, the first wife of Emperor Qianlong. Historical records show that Qianlong frequently sought her advice, particularly on court discipline and matters related to imperial protocol. Unlike many emperors who openly favored concubines, Qianlong kept Empress Xiao Xianchun by his side at court decisions and valued her input on how the imperial household should be run. For example, she helped shape court policies that maintained a strict and disciplined imperial household. She was known for promoting frugality in the palace, often choosing simplicity over luxury, even adorning her hair with artificial flowers instead of extravagant jewelry. Her modest lifestyle set a standard for court officials, reinforcing Confucian ideals of humility and restraint. Even after her early death, Qianlong continued to honor her above all his later wives, further cementing her influence in history. But not every Qing empress enjoyed such influence. Many were chosen from noble Manchu families for political alliances, but played no active role in governance. Their duties remained strictly ceremonial, overseeing palace rituals and representing imperial virtue. Meanwhile, the emperor often relied more on his favorite concubines or senior officials for counsel. Ultimately, an empress's power was fragile, completely tied to the emperor's favor. But while an empress's authority could fade with her husband's death, another woman in the imperial court often retained power far longer. This was the Empress Dowager, the emperor's mother, whose influence extended beyond a single reign. So how did she outrank the empress herself? Unlike the empress, whose authority was tied to traditional and ceremony, the Empress Dowager commanded influence rooted in Confucian tradition. A son was expected to show absolute obedience and respect to his mother, even if he was the emperor. This cultural expectation gave her immense political leverage, often surpassing that of the empress. An empress's influence depended on the emperor's favor, but an empress dowager's authority could extend beyond her son's youth. If an emperor ascended the throne as a child, the empress dowager often ruled in his place as a regent, issuing decrees and managing state affairs until he became of age. Those who built strong political alliances or controlled key court officials could continue to shape the empire long after the emperor matured. Some remained influential figures in court politics, even exercising de facto rule from behind the scenes. The most extreme example would be Empress Dowager Cixi. Initially a low-ranking consort, she gave birth to Emperor Tongzhi and used that status to claim power as his regent. Even after Tongzhi's death, she installed her young nephew, Emperor Guangxu, on the throne, allowing her to retain control. When Guangxu attempted reform, Cixi had him placed under house arrest, proving that an empress dowager could still hold power long after her son became emperor. In contrast, an empress, no matter how respected, never had the authority to act as a regent, control military affairs, or dictate imperial policies. She managed the harem and led ceremonies. For most empresses, their authority ended with the emperor's reign. But for those who bore the emperor's heir, a new role awaited, the empress dowager. What determined whether an empress could secure this influential position, and how did it change her standing within imperial court? Becoming empress dowager was not automatic. While the title was traditionally granted to the emperor's mother, exceptions existed. In some cases, a woman who had been the principal wife of the previous emperor could also receive the title, particularly if she played a stabilizing role in the court. Some secured the role through political maneuvering, while others earned it by serving as a guiding figure to the new ruler, ensuring stability during succession. One such example was Empress Dowager Ci'an, the wife of Emperor Xianfeng. After Xianfeng's death in 1861, his 5-year-old son became Emperor Tongzhi, but Tongzhi's biological mother, Cixi, had only been a concubine during Xianfeng's reign and was not the official empress. Because of this, Cixi faced oppositions from powerful officials who were reluctant to recognize her as the sole empress dowager. To strengthen her claim, Cixi formed an alliance with Ci'an, Xianfeng's primary wife, who had not given birth to the new emperor but held the higher title of empress. By working together, Ci'an and Cixi secured a dual recognition as empress dowagers, creating a shared regency. This move balanced court politics. Ci'an's legitimacy as the senior empress provided official backing, while Cixi, the emperor's mother, ensured a maternal claim to power. However, despite their joint rule, Ci'an's influence gradually faded, while Cixi consolidated control over the imperial court. As Tongzhi grew older, Cixi positioned herself as the dominant force behind the throne, marking the beginning of her decade-long grip on Qing politics. One of the most remarkable examples of an empress dowager rising to power without immediately holding the title was Empress Dowager Xiaozhuang. Unlike most empress dowagers, she did not immediately receive the title when her husband, Emperor Huang Taiji, died. Instead, she had to navigate a precarious succession crisis to secure her influence in the Qing court. Xiaozhuang was a consort of Emperor Huang Taiji and the mother of the future Shunzhi emperor. However, when Huang Taiji died suddenly in 1643, he left no formal heir. The throne should have passed to his eldest son, but rival factions within the court threatened to split the empire. Recognizing the need for stability, Xiaozhuang aligned herself with the powerful prince Duergun and successfully maneuvered to have her 6-year-old son installed as the Shunzhi emperor. While Duergun was named regent, Xiaozhuang retained significant influence behind the scenes, ensuring that decisions aligned with her vision for the dynasty. Though she was not immediately given the title of Empress Dowager, she gradually gained political authority, securing her role as the guiding force behind her son's reign. Even after the Shunzhi emperor reached adulthood, Xiaozhuang's authority did not fade away. She remained a highly respected figure in the court, shaping Qing policies, forging alliances with Han Chinese officials, and ensuring the dynasty's consolidation of power. Her ability to wield influence without ruling as regent demonstrated the many ways an Empress Dowager could shape history beyond formal titles. Once an empress became Empress Dowager, she gained authority over the new emperor, the imperial household, and often court politics. However, not all wielded the same level of influence. Some were relegated to ceremonial roles, while others became formidable political forces. A politically adept Empress Dowager could maintain her influence by forging alliances, controlling key appointments, and positioning herself as an indispensable advisor to the emperor. However, not every empress secured this level of power. If she did not bear the emperor's heir, she remained a dowager consort, holding an honorary title but little real influence. Some were sidelined entirely, while others, like Empress Dowager Cixi, seized control of the empire through sheer political skill. Ultimately, the transition from empress to Empress Dowager was never guaranteed. It depended on producing a male heir, navigating palace rivalries, and securing a lasting foothold in the treacherous politics of the Forbidden City. Though the empress held the highest rank in the imperial harem, her position was not untouchable. If she lost favor, she could be removed. But it wasn't as simple as the emperor issuing an order. The removal of an empress required justifications and strict adherence to protocol. Imperial laws, Confucian principles, and the need to maintain dynastic stability meant an empress could not be dismissed on a whim. If the emperor sought to dispose his empress, he had to present valid reasons, such as political offenses, severe misconduct, or extreme violations of court etiquette. In some cases, factions within the court played a role. Rival consorts, ministers, or even the Empress Dowager could influence the decision, turning palace intrigue into political reality. Once an empress was removed, she was stripped of all privileges. Some were given honorary titles and allowed to live in quiet exile, while others were erased from history, their names never spoken again. Perhaps the most famous example was Empress Nala, the second wife of Emperor Qianlong. She became empress after the death of Qianlong's first wife, but her fate took a drastic turn. In 1765, while accompanying Qianlong on a southern tour, Empress Nala suddenly cut her hair, a shocking act in Qing court etiquette. Manchu customs dictated that cutting one's hair was reserved for mourning the death of a close family member, but no such death had occurred. Was it an act of protest, a personal rebellion, or a loss of faith in the emperor? Historians still debate the true reasons. Qianlong was furious. He immediately stripped her of her title, removed her from court, and refused to ever speak to her again. When she died a few years later, she was given only a simple burial, denied the honors traditionally given to an empress. Her downfall was a reminder being empress was not a permanent guarantee of power. Even the most honored woman in the empire could be erased from history. So how much power did a Qing dynasty empress really have? Despite her prestige rank, her authority was never guaranteed. Some empresses shaped court politics from behind the scenes, earning their husband's trust and leaving a lasting mark on history. Others held the title in name only, bound by rigid court traditions with little true power of their own. What are your thoughts? And what else are you curious about in the Forbidden City? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on another palace life story. I'll see you in the next video.
Stay curious, stay magical.